I'm well aware that the gym is a shared space and that you're going to have to be there with other people because that sort of comes with the territory of a public gym. But at some point, when do we start to draw the line between it being a judgment-free zone to really questioning who the fuck are the people in these locker rooms? Because, you get in, you work out, you get a little quick shower, go on about your day. That's the little issue that I got stuck with, a quick shower. One day I decided to shower in the gym, and I wouldn't wish showering in the gym on my worst enemy. It's a very deep-seated, humiliating medieval punishment that I don't think anyone deserves to go through, but I digress. I have to do it anyway, because it's part of the schedule now. And I'm showering in the gym, and I pull the curtain all the way to the side, so it's very obvious that I'm showering in there. Even though those shitty curtains are way too short, and you can basically see my nuts drooping down from the bottom of the curtain because they're not big enough. I'm showering, and an older gentleman walks by my little shower stall, because you have the stalls, the areas where each shower is in, they're all divided. He walks by, and he sort of undoes the curtain a little bit. And at this point, my fight or flight responses kick in, my instincts. But when you're at your most vulnerable, when everything's just hanging out, there's not much of a fight left in you. At this point, you're just trying to figure out how you can most quickly cover all of the vital lower parts necessary to not be seen on soft. Because honestly, I wouldn't even mind if he walked in on me and saw me naked. I know that sounds a little weird, but I'd rather be somewhat hard just so he doesn't see me at my lowest. You know what I'm trying to say? It's a lot worse if a dude sees you on soft than if he sees you on hard. Now, ideally, a dude would not be looking at your dick in the first place. That's the goal. But if push comes to shove, I would much rather it be on hard than on soft. So, shit, at least you can see what I'm working with, and you don't get a bad first impression of me. First impressions are really important. But he peeks through the curtain a little bit, and he says, is this occupied? And I was a little bit dumbfounded, flabbergasted, hornswoggled, because I thought to myself, well, you see me in here, butt-ass naked, with no clothes, just a little bit of soap suds between your eyes and my penis, and you have the audacity to ask me if it's taken. Well, yes, sir, it is taken. So all I can do is, as naturally as I possibly can, say, yes, this is occupied. I didn't even say that. I just said, yes, in the deepest voice that I could, because, I don't know, I thought maybe if I sounded like an off-brand version of Corpse Husband, it would intimidate him to go away. And sure enough, he went away. But that little 15 to 10 second interaction is one of the reasons why I hate showering in the gym, and I will always hate showering in the gym. But, I'm sure he didn't mean it, and I don't know why I'm posting this, but, it feels good to get it out there. Just get it off my chest, like a burden, like a stone has been lifted off of my shoulders. So now everyone knows about the time that I almost flashed a grown man. Actually, he wasn't even grown, he was well into his elderly years. Appetizers are such a scam, holy shit. So today, I took my mom out to eat, as any good, loving son should do. And I told her, let's try out this new Italian place that I've been looking at. It looks pretty fancy. So hopefully the food tastes good, right? If a place looks good aesthetically, surely it's going to be pleasing to the palate. It's going to be good when I put the food in my mouth, right? Well, it was good, but the price of one specific item fucking soured my entire mood. And that was the mozzarella sticks. We get there. We sit down. The atmosphere of it is really nice. But as soon as I sat down, it struck me as one of those millennial places where they charge you $25 for a burger, $12 for a tiny basket of fries, and they don't have ketchup, and they serve everything to you in tiny little metal containers, and they have the fucking chandelier on the wall. They had the chandelier on the wall. I looked at that. I looked at my wallet. I gave it a little pat, because I told them, you're about to get fucked. And I ordered the mozzarella sticks as an appetizer. Why the fuck am I paying $15 for 4 mozzarella sticks? I looked at that. When the order came in and he put it on the table, I blinked a little bit, like a cartoon character. And I was wondering, is this a joke? Is this a prank? Where are the cameras? But sure enough, they really do make you pay $15 for 4 fucking mozzarella sticks. And I was like, damn. I guess, probably, for $15, those mozzarella sticks better come with a rim job on the side, because why the fuck, in what universe, are you going to charge me $15 for 4 pieces of mozzarella dipped in a deep fryer? This is not filet mignon. This is not A5 Wagyu. We're not eating some Michelin star meal here. These are mozzarella sticks we're talking about. And I guess the quote-unquote price increase, they sprinkled a little fucking green shit on it with some cheese on the side. So I guess I'm paying for the presentation? Shit, bro, take those off and take $10 off the price tag, I guess, but I don't know. Those mozzarella sticks weren't even good either. I've had mozzarella sticks before, and those were a solid 5 out of 10. They were pretty middle of the road. And I know a lot of you might be thinking, how can you even make mozzarella sticks good in the first place? They're such a simplistic food, but no, trust me. There are levels to this shit. And this didn't even scratch the surface for costing as much as it did. Now, the rest of the food, I got a lasagna, and then she got, what was it, some pasta, but I don't know. I really like my lasagna. It was really, really good. So they redeemed themselves. But today I learned appetizers, they're kind of just there. I don't know if it's really worth it to get appetizers. That's how they get you. And boy, they got me. Reading this comment reminded me of the whole looks maxing rabbit hole, so, I want to talk about it. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate the kind words, and, I'm glad that you think curly hair is nice, because, it's a bitch to maintain, but, it has its pros and cons. Looks maxing as a whole is such a double-edged sword, and it's become such an integral part of internet culture that it really is such a fascinating little subculture to look at and study. Because when I say it's a double-edged sword, I mean it in 2 very obvious reasons. Number 1, it's good to focus on making yourself look better, to feel better for yourself, to go out, exercise, eat healthy, have clear skin, improve your facial features. Be the best person, the best version of yourself you could possibly be. I believe that to be an extremely great cause, because, you only live once, and you want to be happy with your appearance, and who else to do that but you? How's that one saying, a man always suffer carving himself because he is both the stone and the chisel, something like that. You get what I'm trying to say? I think on one end of the spectrum, it's extremely good that there's internet trends that encourage you to have self-improvement. On the other hand, looks maxing can be a very volatile community. Like the really hardcore black pill content, where it's like, oh, if you weren't born with these 2 inches of forward growth, you're cooked for life. Or, oh, if you're from India, buddy, you're cooked. Your genetics are cooked. Or, how did you improve your eye area? I've been doing these eye massages for a year, but I'm not seeing any progress. Do I need a surgery, Max? Do I need to get pupil fat removal so I can look like Jordan and I can finally ascend? And I mean, there's some, I'm not saying all of that is bad. There's definitely some truth to those strategies. Like, I don't know, I guess the best way that I could describe it. One looks maxing strategy that a lot of people perpetuate, things like thumb pulling, the towel method, yada yada. Now, I personally have not tested those. A lot of people will testify to the fact that they work. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But it's definitely harmful for the minds of young guys that are on this app to be surrounded by content that makes them feel like they're show ponies. Like, their entire life is just a perpetual beauty pageant that they have to keep getting ready for over and over again by doing all of these tactics, methods, and that is pretty harmful to someone's head. Like, at its core, looks maxing is great. I remember OG look maxing, if you can even call it that. I'm pretty sure it originated from 4chan, because most internet, anything originates from 4chan. That shit is like the prototype for every single trend that happens on the internet, but that's besides the point. I believe, at least me personally, I think looks maxing at its core, at the root, let's pretend this is a tree. The root of looks maxing is literally just going to the gym and eating healthy. And I think that's amazing, that's perfect. To encourage more people to do that is a great cause. But then when you start straying further away from the source, and you start going into all of these hyper-specific methods to, like, fix your jaw, have better eyes, improve your nose, facial feature, I believe facial massages work. There's like, lymphatic drainage is what it's called. But what I'm trying to say is, when you start going into the really, really far end of that spectrum, and you have people thinking that they're cooked because they're 13 years old and their skulls haven't fully developed, so now you have them sticking their fucking thumbs in their mouths so they can have more forward growth. Yeah, I think that's a little harmful to children. Because, you're really impressionable at a young age. Surprise, surprise, TikTok is full of young people. So, yeah, that's just my little yap about looks maxing. I think it's good. Don't get me wrong, I think it's great. Initially, it's great. And then the more minute subsections of that community that can be really, really hardcore. Like, if you weren't born 6'4", blue eyes, hunter eyes, positive candle tilt, and like, what's that one bone that determines? You guys see all those looks max little slideshows, right? Where it's like, this one bone will determine whether you're attractive or not. Like some bone right here, somewhere. Yeah. You're gonna have people growing up thinking if they're not genetically born with the exact traits that TikTok deems attractive, they're cooked for life and there's nothing they can do about it. It just puts a negative idea into someone's head, which I think could be harmful. But yeah, that's it. Me, like, I won't lie to you, I was super duper into that when I was like 16. I was like, oh my god, I have to start doing the Mongolian throat singing method so I can finally ascend. And blah 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 blah. Now, maybe it's just because I've grown more cynical. I don't care, bro. Like, I go to the gym, and because I go to the gym just because I do it to feel accomplished. It feels good to do something for the day. I do it less to like, I don't know how to describe it. I'm kind of getting off topic now, but I think it's good to lead a healthy lifestyle, but it's unhealthy to idolize unobtainable things, like genetic things that you can never change, So yeah, now we're done.
Running all over the place, blue in the face, looking like Sonic. Got up on stage around 9, and the next day they call it iconic. In between that, I was off of some tonic, vodka and lime, and a pack of the chronic. Bring death to a beat. Shit is bubonic.
Coming to the realization that your homeboy is a cuck has gotta be one of the worst pains in existence. For context, I have this friend who I've known since middle school. We're gonna name him Jeffrey. Jeffrey has been dating the same girl since freshman year. Jeffrey really, really likes this girl. Jeffrey firmly believes that this girl is the love of his life. Despite the fact that he thinks this, Jeffrey's girlfriend does not hold him in the same regard. In fact, since they've started dating, Jeffrey's girlfriend has been known for doing things that are a tad bit strange, such as flirting with other guys, play fighting with other guys, planning on breaking up with her boyfriend, and things like that really exemplify just how little she quote-unquote cares for Jeffrey. In sophomore year, I tried to reason with Jeffrey, and I told him, hey, this is happening, and here's the proof. Here are the screenshots, here is this and this and that. I don't want you to misconstrue this as me having a malicious intent on your relationship. No. You are my dear friend and I don't want you to keep going on like this. But Jeffrey firmly looked me in the eyes as he smiled and said that he loves her and he would never, ever intend on breaking up with her. It would even get to the point where Jeffrey's girlfriend would even mention the thought of splitting up and Jeffrey would immediately get very emotional. And to see my dear friend Jeffrey become such a emotional slave of sorts to this girl who clearly doesn't really like him that much was disheartening, to say the least. But it made me come to the realization, damn, my friend who I thought was cool as fuck, who I've known for years, is almost a textbook definition of a cuck. In my eyes, a cuck is a man who sacrifices his morals, dignity, and self-respect in order to maintain a relationship with a girl who does not care about him. Now I know the literal definition might not align with what I just said, because technically a cuck is someone who wants their partner to do it with like multiple other people, and then the cuck can record and he gets off on that. I guess that situation doesn't really apply to what I'm saying here. But in my eyes, seeing what I saw, witnessing what I witnessed, I would say that is cuckold behavior. Fast forward to present day, Jeffrey is still dating this girl, even though this girl is still doing the exact same activities that I described 2 years ago, now in our senior year, where we are, I guess, technically adults, if you even want to call it that. Fuck, I don't feel like an adult, but I mean, I'm basically a grown man. But Jeffrey will never, ever break up with this girl, at least from what I see. So, I don't know. But it hurts to see that happen, and I can only hope the best for my friend Jeffrey, as I don't have much contact with him anymore since he's not here. Not here as in the sense that he's dead, but he's just not in the school anymore. And even when he was in school, I didn't get much of a chance to talk to him since he was preoccupied with his girlfriend, which, you know, all the power to him. If he really loves this girl, then who am I to tell him to not spend time with her? But it's the fact that she cares so little about Jeffrey that kind of makes me a little bit disappointed. I try to not get mad at the people in the gym locker rooms because I feel like that one polar bear screaming at the penguin, right? I feel like my anger isn't justified, and I really shouldn't be scrutinizing over things that really don't matter in the long run. With that being said, we need to start requiring IQ tests for the people that come into these fucking saunas, because clearly common sense is no longer common. When you're in the sauna, you're supposed to have a towel on. Nothing more, nothing less. They have rules like that for a reason. You know, they're not just made up arbitrary rules that people do so you can be naked. No, you're supposed to do that. I'm in the sauna, this guy walks in with a full fit. Shoes, jeans, shirt, jacket, backpack on, phone out. What are we doing? Like, genuinely, why did you even come into the sauna at that point? And he doesn't even stay there for more than 30 seconds. So what the fuck were you doing? He pulls out his phone. He starts scrolling. I tell him, hey, you might not want to do that. Why? Because the sauna is going to fuck up the battery in the phone. It's a lithium battery. You're not supposed to bring your phone in the sauna. I tell him that. He looks at me like I just called him a slur and gets out. I was just trying to fucking help you, dude, okay? And either way, you're the one that looks stupid. Why are you wearing a full fit to the sauna? And if it's not wearing too much, it's wearing too little. Because I don't know how the policy is in other places, but I genuinely don't think you should go into the sauna completely naked. Now that is just a little much. He decides to sit relatively close to me, which I don't know why he would do that. The sauna's empty. There's plenty of space for you to be the fuck away from me, but I digress. After that, he starts doing stretches. But not just any stretches, like full-on ballerina stretches. He puts one foot on the floor, another foot on the chair, and starts bending all the way over it, like down, and touching the floor. You couldn't have done this outside of the sauna? I look up, all I see is fucking asshole and balls. And now my day's ruined. I can't even enjoy the sauna because when people open the door and they close it, all the smoke goes out. So then the sauna needs to turn back on. And then you're getting boiled alive for like a good 20 seconds until it goes back to normal. So it's just like... Making gay jokes with your friends is a pretty staple male experience, and I'm sure everyone's experienced it by now, and there's nothing inherently wrong with that. But sometimes you have to wonder just how committed someone is to the joke before it starts crossing into the line of full-on homosexuality. Now, I'll preface this story by saying there's nothing wrong with being gay. I don't think you need me to tell you that, but we'll just keep it. I have this friend who we're going to call Gertrude for the purposes of this story. Now, Gertrude has a lot of testosterone, and it's very evident when you look at him, you can tell. And there's some theory, something more testosterone equates to being more gay, because Roman soldiers used to fuck twinks, and, you know, they did it, but they had so much testosterone that they didn't really see fucking other dudes as gay. You know, they really just split them into two groups, penetrators and penetratees. And whether you were a penetratee was not limited to sex. But I digress. One day, I'm talking to my friends. We're in a call. And Gertrude joins said call, turns his camera on, and is wearing nothing but a towel under his waist, very conveniently placed just low enough so you can see the slightest bit of his like lower midsection. And, you know, I got a chuckle out of it at first. We all were a little bit surprised. We're like, you can turn your camera off now. Nobody wants to see this shit. And, you know, Gertrude turned his camera off. But what he does next is what really got me, and really made me think, is he undercover? He decides to play a little game. He turned his camera back on. This time he's wearing nothing. And the game is that he props his phone up on a little wall, and he decides to throw a shampoo bottle at the phone. Now here's how the game works. If he loses, the shampoo bottle misses. And if he wins, the shampoo bottle hits the phone tilts down, and you get a full view of Gertrude Jr., to say the least. Now thankfully, he never won the game. And I don't know if that's because he wasn't trying to, or because his aim was ass, but a small part of me wonders, what would he have done if he really did tilt the phone back? And if his dick really was exposed to everyone that was in that call? All I'm saying is, if he genuinely decided to come out a couple years from now, I wouldn't be surprised. I never really understood the phrase performative interests or performative hobbies, because in my eyes, if you like something that's a little bit out of the ordinary for your demographic to like, for example, if a dude likes Sanrio characters, you know, all the power to him. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're doing it for social validation or to impress someone. Today I learned that my line of reasoning was completely wrong. I have a friend who we're gonna call Tommy. Now, Tommy started talking to this girl, and in an effort to get closer to her, Tommy tries to copy her music taste. He tells me this girl is into artists like Men I Trust, Phoebe Bridgers, Girl in Red. I tell him, that could not correlate any less with your music taste. Does she know that you've been bumping Kanye since 2020? Tell me why the fuck he photoshops her favorite artists onto his most recently listened on Spotify. I look at his shit, it goes from like Kanye, Travis Scott, Kendrick, Drake, to Girl in Red, Clario, Men I Trust, Daisy and the Scouts, and Girl in Red. Bro, this is not you. But the real cherry on top for me was when he found out that she was into reading, so he sends me a picture of himself and he says, should I post this on my story? And it's a picture of him sitting next to a tree in the sunlight reading a book, and the book is Finnegan's Wake. This motherfucker has not read a book since we had to read Charlotte's Web in middle school, and he jumped all the way to Finnegan's Wake. Does he even know that book is nigh incomprehensible? Like, Finnegan's Wake is the book that it took one book club of full-grown adults 30 years to not even decipher, just to finish reading. That is probably the worst choice of literature you could have chosen because no one understands Finnegan's Wake. What the fuck? I guess what I'm trying to say is performative interests are very much real. I did not know that until today. Having a friend who's washed is a very painful feeling because at one point you knew them when they were in their prime, when they were on top of the world, and things only looked like they were going up. And now anytime that they even come into your head, all you hear is, wait for it. And what do I mean by washed in this scenario? I mean washed as in having a friend who year after year started becoming more and more lame to the point where you really don't fuck with them anymore. I have this friend named Jeffrey. Jeffrey is a recurring character in my stories. You might know him from the story about the time that I realized he was a cuck, but that's not what this is about. Jeffrey is someone who used to be on top of the world. You know, Prime Jeffrey, you guys never knew Prime Jeffrey. And unfortunately, you'll never get to meet him. Because year after year, Jeffrey made some very questionable decisions, which really caused me to start looking at him in a not so favorable way. Prime Jeffrey would look at present day Jeffrey right now and be filled with so much shame and sadness that it really hurts to even think about. I also fucking love how this theme song became the anthem for washed NBA players. Like, bro, I can't get enough of it. I fucking love this song. I've seen a lot of ongoing debate as to whether Korra's character is good or Korra's entire show was a disgrace to the Avatar franchise, and why I personally think people don't like her that much now. Keyword is think. I'm only on season 2 where she went to like the Southern Water Tribe District something. I'm not too educated on the show, nor do I think I have enough evidence to really form a definitive opinion. But from what I've seen, at least in the first 2 seasons and from what people say, I think the main reason that people don't like her is just because she's not Aang. I don't know if that's a dumb way to put it, but the best way that I can describe it, I feel like people really had this gold standard as to what a good Avatar main character could be, with Aang as a prime example. You know, when Korra had her own show, she had pretty big shoes to fill, and frankly, she did not fill those shoes, probably because the writers didn't want her to. She does serve as a very sharp contrast to Aang, whereas he's, you know, very, like, how do I describe it? He's very patient. He's not brash. He thinks things through. Korra is a direct opposite of that. She's very impulsive. She's very headstrong. She doesn't really like to listen to people. She's kind of stubborn. And I think that's one of the main reasons why people dislike her character. From what I've seen so far, yeah, watching some of the shit that she does is kind of annoying. I don't think that makes her a bad character. I think she's fine. I'd have to finish the other 2 seasons before I can really tell you if I dislike her or not. But something that I think is funny while we're on the topic, a lot of Korra fans relate people not liking the show to like the Avatar community just hating women. And I've seen that take around a lot, saying, oh, you know, The Legend of Korra is good, but, you know, the Avatar fan base just fucking hates women, and they never want to see a female main character, and that's the whole reason, like, this show is perfect. I don't really agree with that, just because a lot of the most, like, fan favorite, beloved characters in the series are female characters. We have Katara, Azula, Toph. These 3 are 3 huge fan favorites that people absolutely love, and it doesn't have anything to do with their gender, they're just well-written characters that are lovable. Well, I guess in Azula's case, not so lovable. She serves as a good antagonist, though. But if any people that are really well-versed in The Legend of Korra and know, like, definitively why people don't like her that much, you know, feel free to educate me, because I don't know, I'm kind of in the dark. I can see why people don't like her. I just don't hate her. You know, I'm pretty neutral on it. I can definitely see some of the reasons, though. The friend who's a punching bag is the one person that I truly do feel remorse and sorry towards, just because I've personally observed how they get treated, and, you know, I really wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. For context, I have this friend who we're gonna call Melvin. Now, Melvin isn't really in my immediate circle of friends. I don't talk to him much, but he's still a good guy. I interact with him, and he's a pretty positive person. Melvin's friend group is different from mine, but I still observe the way that Melvin gets treated. And the best way that I can describe how Melvin gets treated in his friend group is like the group glory hole, just the comedic relief character, but the punchline is him every single time. The average conversation between Melvin and one of his friends will be, Melvin, shut the fuck up, you're annoying, why are you here, I hate you. And, you know, Melvin just kind of has to take it on the chin with a smile on his face, and, you know, props to him though, he's a Christian who really practices what he preaches. He always turns the other cheek. If heaven, like if there's anyone that's guaranteed to go to heaven, it is most definitely him. Or there was this other time where Melvin's friend asked him if she can use his phone. Melvin complies because he trusts her. What does she fucking do? She deletes TikTok off his phone. Mind you, this was back when the app was banned and you couldn't even re-download it. This dude gets his phone back and just sees that his shit got completely deleted. And like I could see tears welling up in his eyes, which I was like, alright, it's not that deep, but like damn, that's fucked up. Now in my eyes, a group really shouldn't have a punching bag friend, because if you only keep him around to shit on him, is he even your friend? Regardless, if he ever decides to snap one day and strangle all the people who wronged him over the years, I'm happy that I'm not on the list. Leaving your school computer or school Chromebook unlocked and open in a public area is quite possibly one of the stupidest things that you could ever do, and I learned that the hard way. One day, my entire grade level is sent to an auditorium where we have to sit there for 4 hours because something state testing, we literally weren't doing anything. I was just on my computer and I need to use the restroom. So what do? I leave my computer on my chair as I leave the auditorium to use the restroom. I would later come to realize this was a fatal mistake, as when I finish doing my business and I come back, I see my backpack missing, my computer closed, and everyone around me is giggling. At this point, I started laughing too. I was like, haha guys, what's the joke? What are we all laughing at? So I can laugh too. Little did I know the absolute atrocities that they did on my fucking computer. I opened my computer to see 4 different porn sites bookmarked. I got signed up for Chatterbait and Adult Friend Finder, and my entire computer has quadruple zoom, so I can't even see what's going on. And I think the worst one of them all was when they used my computer to send messages to other students on some I like dick up the ass, don't tell anyone, but I actually shove 12-inch dragon dildos with purple rhinestones up my ass every day after school. The reason that this angered me and surprised me so much is because this story isn't even old. This happened like 4 months ago. Now keep in mind, my grade level is seniors, people who are grown adults, people reaching the end of their schooling years. After we graduate, motherfuckers are gonna either join the workforce or go to university, both of which require you to be an adult. I really thought we were better than this, guys, but I guess no, we're not. We're fucking not. But I definitely learned my lesson. Never again. Never. Having a friend who low-key might be a predator is a pretty jarring feeling, because on one hand, they've never done anything of the sort before, but on the other, I can definitely see the warning sign. I have this friend who we're gonna call Gertrude. Now Gertrude is a pretty normal man, and he's never done anything illegal, yet, but he makes one too many jokes about linking with the freshmen. And whenever he sees them, you know, sometimes I catch his eye, and it's like a predator looking at his next meal. Now, do I think it's all a joke, or do I think he'll act on those desires? I don't know. At this point, I feel like he's too committed to the joke for it to be a joke. Growing up, there were two musical artists who I absolutely adored. This was primarily in middle school, and those two artists were Playboi Carti and Kanye West. Now, I absolutely loved these two artists, and to this day, I still find a good chunk of their music to be good. But, you know, in my prime, when I really listened to them, I'd basically listen to their entire discography. I would look for any type of Carti leaks that I could possibly find, even if it sounded like they were recorded off of a World War II radio. I wouldn't care. I loved consuming his content so much. I was so obsessed with Carti when I was younger, where it got to the point where if he said that he wanted a young Latino male for the night, I would have shaved every inch of my body, and I really wouldn't have questioned a single thing. Shout out to anyone that got that reference. I also really loved Kanye, probably more than I loved Carti. I listened to Kanye's music very religiously throughout, I want to say, late middle school to early high school. Christmas in Harlem, We Major, Hey Mama, All Falls Down, Spaceship, The New Workout Plan. I could go on and on about the songs that I absolutely adore from his catalog because they're just so fucking good. But now that I'm a little bit older and I'm realizing what type of people my favorite artists really were at the time, I realized just how fucking lame they were. Carti is a deadbeat dad who's been using the aura gimmick even though he's pushing 30 and would rather drag his nuts across broken glass than drop a singular piece of music for his fans. Kanye still makes good music, and he still makes music, which is a lot more than I can say for Carti, but in my eyes, nothing that he's ever made recently will ever top his first 3 albums, that being College Dropout, Late Registration, Graduation. Those are my 3 favorites, along with some other outliers in between. But the reason that I bring Kanye into this talk is because current day Kanye is a fucking disgrace. How did we go from making some of the best rap albums in history to parading your naked wife at the Grammys and selling Nazi merchandise on your store? I don't know, it kind of just sucks to see artists that I once really loved reach current day levels of what they are today. Disappointing. Indian people live life on the hardest difficulty possible, at least online, and it's not even funny anymore. This is just straight up disheartening to see. There's always been common trends on the internet to just be overtly racist to a certain group of people. I remember during lockdown, Asian people were the ones bearing the bulk of the racist jokes. You know, the whole Wuhan bat soup, COVID-19, you guys started it. Being Asian during prime COVID must have been absolute hell, because I saw the way that those dudes got treated, and but currently the popular opinion right now, or at least the internet's favorite race to make fun of, is Indian people. And, you know, like, what the fuck, bro? Y'all are just assholes. Tell me why the fuck 90% of the comment sections that I see on TikTok, the top comment is just India disrespect button. What is the joke? There is no punchline. You just hate Indian people. Now, making fun of your own race is one thing, you know. If a Hispanic dude makes fun of Hispanic people, I don't really think there's anything wrong with that. It's sort of a poking fun at yourself type thing. But when millions of people on the internet who are probably not Indian are just shitting on people who are Indian for no reason, just for existing, because the common trope is that Indian street food is like fucking poisonous and Indian people don't smell good, they don't know basic hygiene, and that slowly snowballed into the dehumanization of Indian people, where now if you say you're Indian on the internet, the top comment is probably going to be like, it's over, reincarnate. I probably shouldn't have to be the one to tell you this, and I'm sure this is no new way of thinking, but maybe racism is bad. Who would have thought? The new Superman movie just blew the hair off my testicles and left me mouth agape in utter awe and amazement. This movie was peak. Oh my goodness, James Gunn has done it. He's done it again. This movie was absolute cinema. Holy shit. I'm gonna give a spoiler-free review since I highly encourage you to watch it yourself, but this version of Superman is by far my favorite. I like it a lot more than Man of Steel, and I know a big pain point in the movie, people didn't like the fact that Superman was getting bitched, that he was losing fights, that he wasn't as badass or as dark as he was in Man of Steel. And to the people that think that, the only thing that I can tell you is shut the fuck up. If you like Man of Steel so much, then go rewatch the movies. But this version of Superman feels so much more lived in. He feels more fleshed out. He feels more human, which, you know, I'm gonna regurgitate the same TikTok opinion that has been said a million times in comment sections, but James Gunn really did focus more on the man side of Superman, and focused the entire movie around that, and it was peak. That shit was goated. Not only was Superman an amazing character throughout the entire film, the supporting cast, Mr. Terrific, Green Lantern, Lois Lane, forgot what the hot girl was called, that one guy who has a hot girl fawning over him for the entire movie, but he doesn't like her because her toes look ugly. Bro, everybody was absolutely amazing. Lex Luthor as the main antagonist for this movie, oh my goodness, bro. I can't glaze this movie enough. I really think the direction that they went with, making Superman more of a, you know, real person instead of just the strongest superhero of all time, or the vibe that they try to go with in Man of Steel, this shit was amazing. I absolutely love this. The two post-credit scenes were pretty funny too. Bro, Mr. Terrific, they did Mr. Terrific such amazing justice. I would argue that he's my favorite character in the entire movie. Oh my goodness. Crypto, the dog, he was cool too. I'm not gonna say anything else. Absolutely amazing watch. Jesus Christ. Corey, what the fuck? Corey, this can't be happening. What the hell? What the fuck? I am at a loss for words. I'm struggling to articulate my sentences here. Holy shit. I just finished reading all 105 pages of Corey's ex-girlfriend coming forth about all the bad things that he's done to her over the years and how he's like a manipulator, an abuser, a bad boyfriend. And I'll do my best to relay all the information as best I can if you don't want to go and read all 105 pages, although it's extremely short. You know, it's not a long read, but basically, I'll put all the screenshots in this video. Most of them are Xbox messages. One of them is a screenshot from her Instagram of one of Corey's close friends viewing her story. And another one is him reacting to her telling him that she has cancer. But the thing is, this one is from iMessage, but it doesn't even show like Corey's name or anything. I struggle to believe this one a little bit. But here's the thing. All this information is still extremely fresh on my mind, so I'm really struggling to process everything that happened here. From the looks of it, Corey was an incredibly bad boyfriend and a very shitty person to be in a relationship with. Do I think this makes him this insane villain that needs to be fucking ran off the internet? I don't think so. At least from what I can gather. I could be completely wrong, and I'd be more than happy to eat my words. I'm leaning towards her side because I have read her story, and I read through her entire letter, and it seems like she's been through a lot. But I really can't formulate a concrete opinion until I hear both sides. I think this is going to go one of three ways. There's going to be three groups of people in this situation. Number one is diehard fans who will support him and defend him no matter what and won't even bother to listen to what she has to say. Then there's the people in the middle who have either never watched him or are pretty impartial about him and are now going to have a pretty negative impression of who he is as a person due to her letter and her story. And then there's the third group of people who just genuinely hated him since the beginning and are now going to use this as an excuse to add fuel to the flame and just run with it. And like say some shit like, oh, Corey was never good. I'm glad motherfuckers hate him. Or like, I never watched Corey. I always knew he was ass. But what group do I fall under? I'm in the middle. I never watched him growing up. I just know that a lot of people idolize this man. And I know a lot of people are definitely going to be not happy to hear these news. But like I said, I don't want to fully lean into her side until I at least can see both sides trying to make their best of what happened and explain everything. I'm pretty shocked though. I'm extremely shocked. And yeah, I'm recording this at 2 a.m. because this all happened extremely recently. But yo, Corey, you need to fucking respond to this shit, bro. Hello? Two overpowered abilities with some caveats. Which one are you choosing? The first power is called Dale's Demise. Upon choosing this power, you now have the ability to control financial misery, and anybody that you lock eyes with becomes a target. You cannot choose when to turn this power on or off. It is permanently on, so anybody that you look at will be affected by the power. Once somebody becomes a target, they are given the Curse of Debt. What does this do? Well, it basically puts their entire being in a state of perpetual monetary deficit. Every time they breathe, every time they say a word, every time they blink, it will cost money. And that money will be deducted from their bank account until they have absolutely zero funds left. But it doesn't just stop there. Once there is no more money to be collected in the real world, Dale's Demise begins chipping away at pieces of your soul, and eventually desecrates your entire body until you turn to dust and die. The only way to counter this ability if you are affected is to kill the user, so they'd have to kill you. If that does not happen, by the time their body disintegrates, they will cease to exist permanently. The second power is called Covenant Collapse. If you choose this power, you are now given a sentient Covenant jersey that looks a little something like this. But it is not just any jersey. This shirt is imbued with life fibers, capable of giving its users extraordinary powers. It's also made out of the flesh of every single forgotten warlord and king and tyrant and ruler that ever existed in human history, making it one giant war-hungry killing machine, and it becomes permanently attached to you. It imbues itself onto your skin. Once this happens, obviously you can never take it off, but it doesn't do anything unless you activate it. Once you activate the shirt, for 24 hours, you will have extraordinary powers. Your senses will be heightened, your muscles will begin to morph and shape into absolute superhuman sizes, you're going to have increased intelligence, it'll turn you into a superhuman, but only for 24 hours. You are not immortal in this state, you're not bulletproof, you can still very easily be killed, but with the amount of strength that you now have at your disposal, it will be very, very, very hard to dispatch of you. But, like I said, it only lasts for 24 hours, and the shirt demands sacrifice. Once those 24 hours are up, you have exactly 60 minutes to sacrifice somebody to the shirt. You're gonna have to grab someone, rip them apart, and let the blood flow down onto the Covenant jersey. If you are unable to do this within the 60-minute time period, the shirt will collapse in on itself, killing you like a spring trap, like the spring lock suit from Five Nights at Freddy's. I think of that, but with the Covenant shirt, boom, you are just dead. Also, every single time that you activate the Covenant jersey's powers, the shirt demands more sacrifice, and the amount of sacrifices that you need to give to the shirt doubles each time. The first time, you only need to kill one person. The second time, it'll be 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, and so on and so forth, and what have you. So those are my two powers. Dale's Demise, Covenant Collapse. If I had to choose between which one I want to go with, I'm gonna go with the Covenant collapse. I'm gonna be honest. Having all those types of dope-ass superpowers sounds pretty cool. Sure, I'm gonna have to murk some people along the way, but, you know, I'll just make sure it's like bad guys. So then I'll feel good about myself. I killed two birds with one stone, and yeah, it'll be... Am I the only one who feels like Sydney Sweeney commercials have the exact opposite effect of what they're trying to achieve? I don't know if it's just a personal thing, but every time I see her in a commercial, I feel deeply unsettled. Like, the entire vibe of the commercial feels inexplicably off. And her new American Eagle commercial definitely made me feel a little weird. And not the good type of weird, like when you're watching the end credits of Zootopia for the first time. This is like a bad weird. I mean, when I first saw her commercials, right? I think the first commercial I ever saw of hers was the Dr. Sasquatch commercial. She's like, men only want one thing, and it's this body wash. I was like, okay, you know, that was pretty funny, sexual innuendo, and then you sell the body wash, all right. Second one, here's my new soap with a hole in the middle, and it's named after my bath water. All right, sexual innuendo once more. It's getting a little old, but this is probably going to be the last time. The fucking American Eagle commercial, where it's just zooming into her tits. Hey, eyes up here. And then it's like, Sydney Sweeney has great genes. Bro, I can't be the only one that felt like eugenics vibes to that, because they keep referencing genes as like the literal blue genes. But anyone with half a brain knows that it's a play on words for genes as in G-E-N-E-S, your hereditary genes, and how she has the great genes of being a pretty blonde white woman with blue eyes. I don't even think she's naturally blonde either, which is the funniest part. But that entire commercial made me feel extremely weird. And I mean, I was never going to buy American Eagle in the first place. What the fuck do I look like? But I know that the entire point of advertisements is to get people talking, to create buzz, for people to have discussions around them. And trust me, this commercial is doing absolute wonders for American Eagle. But at least in my case, it just alienates me further from whatever product she's pushing. Because now I don't really think I want to buy anything from Dr. Sasquatch. Nor do I think I want to buy some fuck-ass jeans from American Eagle. This is my top 5 reaction images. The list is in no particular order. Let's get started. Coming in at number 5, we have Raven with a bunch of hot dogs in her mouth. This one is perfect for if someone is just dick eating, just straight riding dick, just straight all the dick in their mouth. Yeah, you send them this exact image and it'll convey a perfect message. Also, what the fuck is Teen Titans Go even about? In what situation did Raven have to be doing this? Coming in at number 4, we have the guy in the white t-shirt going, me? Now, this one's an absolute classic. It's a little overused, but it's used a lot because it's just so versatile. You can use it in so many situations. It'd be wrong not to put this in the list. For number 3, I have the dog taking a deep breath while the sun hits his face. This one is really good for when someone says some bullshit that you know is rage bait, but you just gotta take a deep breath. You can't fall for it. At number 2, I'm gonna give it to this zoomed in image of this black dude crying as the tear rolls down his face. Again, this one is so versatile, and it fucking fries me every single time I look at it. I had to put. Last but not least, at the number 1 spot, I'm going to give it to Greg Heffley before and after photos that are exactly the same. This one's a little bit more of a niche use case scenario, but I absolutely love it because when it works, it fucking works. And those are my top 5 reaction images. Like I said, this list is in no particular order. Number 1 and 5 could be interchangeable for me. I don't care. It's like trying to pick your favorite child. I can't rank these. I just love them all dearly. There's a lot more that I didn't put in here. I'm sure people in the comments are going to put them in there anyway, but that's my personal top. What makes a good redemption story? It's not about the villain suddenly becoming good, and it's not about the hero realizing the error of his ways and trying to right his wrongs. To me, a good redemption arc is characterized by transformation. When a character is forced to look at the ugliest parts of themselves, reflect on the world they've damaged and the people they hurt, and they decide to rewrite their own story, that is what makes a perfect redemption arc to me. And on that same topic, I think that no character in media embodies that essence better than Megamind himself. Megamind grew up isolated and alone, having no friends due to the way that he looked. Meanwhile, society praised Metro Man as the perfect hero, the perfect man, better than Megamind in every way, shape, and form. So, what did Megamind do? If society wants him to be the villain, then he'll play the part. He'll have an evil layer. He'll become an evil mastermind. He will make Metro Man his arch nemesis. Not because that's what he wants deep down, but because that's what he's expected to do. But the reason I love Megamind so much is because his villainy is hollow. He doesn't truly want destruction. He doesn't truly want to kill anyone. He just wants purpose. Metro Man gives him purpose. And when that very same man disappears and is no longer in his life, he feels empty. He feels devoid of meaning. So what does he do in his quest to continue where he left off? He creates a new hero, Titan. When Megamind sees the corruption and cruelty that Titan displays with the very same powers that he gave him, Megamind is forced to face a very uncomfortable truth. And that's the fact that his actions have consequences. And he is the only man capable of stopping the disaster that he created. So what does he decide to do? He's going to protect the very same city that feared him his entire life. Not because anyone asked him to, but because it's coming from him. He genuinely wants to do this. He realizes that being good is a choice, and he's willing to make it. By the end of the film, when Megamind saves the day, Metro City doesn't just forgive him, they embrace him as their savior, as their hero, signifying that Megamind's redemption arc was rooted in accountability and growth and genuine change. And that is why, in my opinion, Megamind is one of the greatest redemption arcs in media. It is such a satisfying story and a heartfelt one as well. Great. Are we serious? Are we serious? We can't be serious. You're telling me this bullshit won the top comment 2 times in a row. I'm a man of my word, so I will dedicate this video to it. Yuri versus Fuda, round 2. But let me ask you, what the fuck am I supposed to say that I didn't say in the first video? I'm gonna give you the exact same answer. If you're telling me to choose between a genre of literature and a fucking porn category, what do you think I'm gonna choose? Huh? Let's put our think caps on. Let's really dissect this situation here. What do you want me to say? Fuda is a porn category. It is chicks with dicks, girls with penises. And Yuri, although I might not be the biggest connoisseur, if I had to choose between the two, I'm gonna go with Yuri, because at least there's some plot in there, there's some story. What the fuck am I gonna do with Fuda? What do you want me to say? What more is there to say that hasn't already been said? I don't know what this fucking apples to oranges ass comparison is. It just doesn't even make sense. It doesn't. It doesn't compute. I struggle to articulate the words as to how much more clearly I can put it for you. Yuri over Fuda. And that's just my opinion. Maybe you have a differing opinion. By all means, if you disagree with me, okay, the world would be a pretty boring bunch if we all agreed on the same things universally. But Jesus, what more am I gonna say? Are you happy? Is this what you... Are kinks hereditary? Are fetishes something that gets passed down to you genetically from generation to generation? This has been a debate for a pretty long time, and most signs point to it not being genetic at all, because there is no specific gene for having any sort of fetish. I'm of the belief that those types of things are shaped by your upbringing, your traumas, your experiences. Those all come together to form one Frankenstein of a fetish. That's what I personally believe. I really hope that they aren't hereditary or genetic. I sincerely hope that's not the fucking case, because then you have to wonder, what about some of the really, really weird fetishes out there? The most obscure ones that you can think of, like the guys that jerk off to 90-degree squares, or smelly armpits, or feederism. You know, the fetish where you're just eating and eating and eating until you get gigantic, or vor. Yeah, if fetishes really are hereditary, that means that the people who currently have those, their parents had those, or their parents had those, and it just gets passed down the line. It's kind of like when All Might let Deku eat his hair, but instead of inheriting his powers, he inherited all of his fetishes. That's basically how that would work. Now, I don't think, it's all pseudoscience. It's like people just saying shit to say shit. I really hope it's not the case. I firmly believe that's not the case. I'm not into anything weird, so Tony Soprano is one of my favorite characters in fiction because he's one of the few examples of someone who doesn't change. In fact, I would argue the entire point of his character is that he stays the same. He refuses to change, to improve, to better himself. He's not a broken man who's trying to heal. He's a broken man who's trying to justify staying broken. And his character tells a cautionary tale of stagnation, denial, the corrosive effect that power has on an individual. And he's really interesting to talk about, so that's what I want to do. Let's start with therapy. At the beginning of the series, Tony decides to go into therapy and talk about his problems with a therapist. And you might think that this is signs of him trying to improve as a person. That's what the audience is supposed to believe at first. Wrong. The entire reason that he goes to therapy is just to offload his guilt onto someone else. And he's smart enough to recognize the patterns of what he's doing. But to him, therapy is just another game, another arena to deflect and control and manipulate. He doesn't view it as a means to an end to improve his character. He's simply doing it as a coping mechanism for a deeper rooted problem that he refuses to address. Dr. Melfi quickly realizes something that the audience picks up on as well, and it's that Tony is a man who weaponizes vulnerability, and therapy will never help someone like that. His ego, his pride, and his entitlement stop him from having any semblance of self-awareness. Tony doesn't evolve, he doesn't change, there is no redemption arc, and there is no coming-of-age story where he becomes a better man. He simply is. Most narratives follow the story of someone becoming something, whether that's good or bad. Tony Soprano is a story about a man who refuses to become anything new. Tony's story is tragic, not because he couldn't change, but because he had every opportunity to do it and he refused. He had a therapist, he had a loving family, he had friends, he had near-death experiences, but through it all, he chooses his own personal vices over any form of growth. And that level of realism is what makes Tony Soprano such a realistic character. Because in real life, people don't change a lot. People don't transform, they cope, they lie to themselves, and they dig themselves into deeper holes than they were to begin with. That is Tony Soprano in its rawest form. And that's why The Sopranos, beautiful fucking show. I recommend you watch all 6 seasons. It's a great... So Peterbot got clipped, saying every single slur in the book. I mean, once he let the first one rip, the floodgates opened. He was going crazy. He couldn't stop. And a lot of people are saying that it was funny, or, why are they hating on him? It was a funny clip. I do it all the time. Or one that really gets me. What happened to freedom of speech? This is a great point, because a lot of people fail to realize that freedom of speech does not mean freedom of consequences. You can say whatever you want. He is allowed to say all those words, but he can't turn around and expect anything good to happen to him after he says it. Sure, freedom of speech exists, but people also have the freedom to judge you for your actions. What the fuck was Peter Bott thinking? This dude is just known as a racist now. There's really no coming back from this. They had him on camera, and he just kept saying it too. After the first time, he just kept going. He kept ripping that shit. What possessed him to do this? I don't know. Maybe like somewhere down the line in his ancestors, there was like some Klansmen in there that possessed him on some Avatar shit. So he just went into like the racist Avatar state, and all the rage that was inside of his old ancestors started boiling through him. Maybe that could be a good theory. Never did I think the Fortnite guy, who was really good, would reveal his true colors in such a fashion. But hey, you live and you learn. And this guy's a fucking piece. People love to rag on Pirate Software for how long it's taken them to finish his indie game Heartbound, but that man absolutely pales in comparison to the OG, Alex Mahan or Yandere Dev. This dude has been developing Yandere Simulator since 2014. It's been 11 years, and we still do not have technically a finished version of Yandere Simulator. And I know he has a pretty long history on the internet. Volunteers coming forward saying that they were being mistreated, the work was being plagiarized. He's had allegations of having inappropriate conduct with minors. Anybody that's worked with him says that he's extremely shit at communicating and his project lacks any sort of structure. So, you know, he really is the OG. He's not new to this. Do I think Yandere Simulator will ever be finished? Truthfully speaking, not really. I think what we have now is what we're going to keep forever. And here's the thing. Pirate Software, at his worst, is just a guy on the internet who doesn't know what he's talking about, and he's, you know, pretty smug and condescending, and he pretends like he knows everything. Like, he's annoying at worst. Yandere Dev, at his worst, whew, that dude might go to jail. That might be jail time. And you know, I'm just gonna say it. Yandere Simulator is not that good. Sure, it definitely shaped an era of games back in the day, especially when all the big YouTubers were covering it and doing Let's Plays of the game. But let's be honest with ourselves. Was the game ever really that good? Not to mention the fact that it got censorship. A lot of censorship in things like Twitch or just in the US in general because of the inappropriate things that he'd have high schoolers doing. To his credit, and I say this very, very carefully, when he started development, the age of consent in Japan was 13, and then it got raised to 16, and he set his game in a Japanese high school, but his primary audience just so happens to be America, where the age of consent is 18. And, you know, it's a whole rabbit hole to dive into, but yeah, Yandere Dev is the OG shitty indie game dev, and I don't think anybody should ever forget. Dudes who switch up after getting a girlfriend will never not be funny to me, because in the inevitable event that they do break up, you know, you gotta throw a little something on the ground. Now, I'm not one of those people that is a hater by heart. By all means, you know, if you're in love, if that relationship is for you, then who is anyone else to tell you otherwise? But it's always funny when I see one of my friends get turned into a fucking chum bucket slave from the SpongeBob movie, where he's like, oh, hail plankton, except it's just his girlfriend. For context, I had this homeboy who we're gonna call Chester. Now, I didn't know Chester for a long time, but like, we were chill, you know? One day, I text him, hey, hop on the game, it's a weekend. And his girlfriend responds for him, don't text this number. The next time that I see him, he looks at me like I murdered his entire family, and I tell him, hey, what's up? He just gives me a fucking deadpan stare. He's like,
Yeah, my girlfriend said, I can't be friends with you anymore. You're a bad influence. You're holding me back from my potential.
this dude was acting like I invited him to go to the bathroom and inject heroin into our penises. I don't know what was up with him. All I told him was like, damn, what happened? He didn't respond. He just left. Later on, I learned that his girlfriend was like, you know, one of those types of people that didn't really want him to have any friends, like male or female. I don't know if she saw them as competition or what, but all I'm gonna say is if I was gay, I would not go for him for. Eventually they broke up, and I thought to myself, damn, you really cut off all of your friends for that girl. And now that girl's gone. Not the smartest move in the book. Or there was this other time where I had this homeboy who thought everyone was out to get him and like hated his relationship or something, I don't know. But I never thought anything of it, right? I used to sit with him and his girlfriend for a class. I'd sit down with them, I'd tell them good morning, and they just look at me like I might be a Russian spy. Like they look at each other like,
You think he's one of them?
like they just start fucking sizing me up, playing good cop, bad cop, and I'm just sitting there like, what the fuck? In the end, I think they were on bad terms with a lot of people and they thought that I was one of them. So I guess that's why they kind of looked at me funny, but everything was all fine and dandy. Moral of the story is, I guess moral of the first story, not the second one. Yeah, maybe don't make having a girlfriend your whole personality. It might not end well.
10 minutes minus হওয়ার পরেও আপনি আজকে একটা ছক্কা মেরে দিয়েছেন।
ওয়াও! পরবর্তী চ্যালেঞ্জগুলো থেকে আমি নিজে আরো 10 মিনিট কমিয়ে দেব। কেউ দেখ বা না দেখ, কমিয়ে দিলেই আপনি ভালো করছেন। নিশাত, আপনার খাবার নিয়ে চলে আসুন।
হ্যালো জাজেস,
হ্যালো।
ফ্রান্সিয়ার স্যামন উইথ চ্যাট পটেটো পেস্টো সস দিয়েছি, ক্রিমি সস করেছি, আর সটেড ভেজিটেবল দিয়েছি, গার্লিক ব্রেড, সাথে ক্রিমি পন্ড, একটা ক্রিমি পন্ড সস করেছি।
টেন মিনিটস মাইনাস হওয়ার পরেও আপনি আজকে একটা ছক্কা মেরে দিয়েছেন।
ওয়াও!
প্লেটিং দিয়ে শুরু করি। অ্যাবসলিউটলি বিউটিফুল। এই প্লেটিংটা। আমি প্রতিটা এলিমেন্ট টেস্ট করে দেখছিলাম। স্যামন ইজ কুকড বিউটিফুলি, কালারটা খুবই সুন্দর, সসটা মজা, আপনার বেসিল যে পেস্তো বানিয়েছেন সেটার টেস্টও অনেক ভালো, অ্যাসপারাগাস কুকড পারফেক্টলি, বেসিল অয়েলটা অ্যাডস আ লট অফ ফ্লেভার। ওভারঅল এই প্লেটে ইটস পারফেকশন।
থ্যাংক ইউ শেফ।
আজকে আমার দুটো ডিশ আই থিঙ্ক 10 on 10।
নিশাত,
জি ম্যাম।
আজকে যদি বেঁচে যান, পরবর্তী চ্যালেঞ্জগুলো থেকে আমি নিজে আরও 10 মিনিট কমিয়ে দেব। কেউ দেখ বা না দেখ, কমিয়ে দিলেই আপনি ভালো করছেন।
কমিয়ে দিলে সবসময় যে ভালো নাও করতে পারি।
20 মিনিট কমাই, ছেলে আর মেয়ে, ছেলের জন্য 10, মেয়ের জন্য 10। চমৎকার একটা ডিশ, এবং প্রত্যেকটা ইনগ্রেডিয়েন্টসের যে অ্যারোমাটা আমি পাচ্ছি, স্পেশালি সালমন ফিশের যে কালারটা থাকে খাওয়ার পর, প্রন গার্লিক ব্রেড, এটার সাথে সসটা দিয়ে যখন আমি খেয়েছি, ইট ওয়াজ সো গুড, ডিলিশিয়াস, অ্যামেজিং। থ্যাংক ইউ।
থ্যাংক ইউ ম্যাম।
এই যে এতদিন ধরে তুমি পারফর্ম করে আসছো, আজকে হলো বেস্ট আমি প্লেটিং দেখতে পেলাম, এবং ফুড টেস্ট। প্রনটা ওভারকুক হয়নি, জুসি ছিল, আবার একেবারে যে আন্ডার সেটা থাকা সেটাও হয়নি, আর কাঁচাও ছিল না, সব কিছু মিলিয়ে দারুণ, খুব ভালো হয়েছে। একটা প্রফেশনাল যে পার্সন, সেই রকম একজন শেফের প্লেটের মতো প্লেট হয়েছে। প্লেটিংটা অনেক ভালো,
Thank you so much.
খাবারটাও অনেক টেস্টি।
থ্যাংক ইউ।
দিস ইজ এ ফাইন ডাইনিং 5,000 টাকার ডিশ। থ্যাংক ইউ।
থ্যাংক ইউ নিশাত, অ্যান্ড কংগ্রাচুলেশনস।
নওশিন, লাইফে যে কোনো কিছুকে না চ্যালেঞ্জ হিসেবে নিতে হয়। তুই মন খারাপ করো না, আমার কাছে মনে হয় যে আমরা যেহেতু একটা কম্পিটিশনে আছি, অফকোর্স আমাদের ইমোশন আছে, ইমোশন থাকবে, ইমোশন ছাড়া কোনো মানুষ নেই। সো এটাকে ফেস করতে হবে, যে কোনো সিচুয়েশনকে ফেস করতে হবে।
বরিশালের নওশিন, চলে আসুন।
আমি আজকে করেছি স্ট্রবেরি ক্রিম চিজ মুজ।
তোমার নিজের কাছে কি মনে হচ্ছে যে এটা কি মিডনাইট ফুডস হিসেবে খুব মজাদার কিছু হবে?
আমি তো হচ্ছে পরিবার থেকে মানে আলাদা থেকে পড়াশোনার জন্য, সো আমার একটা ছোট স্টল আছে, ফুড স্টল। সো আমি ওখান থেকে মানে আমার বাসায় ফিরতে ফিরতে 12টা 1টা বেজে যায়, অ্যান্ড দেন হচ্ছে সব কিছু রেডি করতে করতে মিডনাইট হয়ে যায়। মানে আমি যখন রেস্টে যাব তখন এনার্জিটা থাকে না যে আমি একটা কিছু একটা করবো। অ্যান্ড আম্মু আমাকে সবসময় বলে যে নাটস রাখবা অ্যান্ড ফ্রুটস অ্যান্ড
নওশিন, লাইফে যে কোনো কিছুকে না চ্যালেঞ্জ হিসেবে নিতে হয়। তুই মন খারাপ করো না, আমার কাছে মনে হয় যে আমরা যেহেতু একটা কম্পিটিশনে আছি, অফকোর্স আমাদের ইমোশন আছে, ইমোশন থাকবে, ইমোশন ছাড়া কোনো মানুষ নেই। সো এটাকে ফেস করতে হবে, যে কোনো সিচুয়েশনকে ফেস করতে হবে। সো তুমি আমাদেরকে বলো তোমার ইনগ্রেডিয়েন্ট কী কী ইউজ করেছো তুমি এখানে?
আজকে যেহেতু আমি তো স্মুদি করবো না, তো আমি ভাবছিলাম যে একটু ডিফারেন্ট করবো, একটু ভাবছিলাম যে জেলো করে একটু ল্যাভেলের মতো করে ভেতরে স্টাফ ক্রিম চিজ এরকম কিছু একটা দিব, বাট সামহাও ওটা হচ্ছিল না, দেন আমি স্মুদি করছি।
নওশিন, তোমার এটা আমার কাছে একটু ক্রিমি লাগছে। টেস্ট ঠিক আছে, টেস্ট আমার কাছে খুব ভালো লাগছে। তবে আমার কাছে মনে হচ্ছে আরও দু একটা যদি কোনো ইনগ্রেডিয়েন্ট ইউজ করা যেত, হয়তো তুমি দিয়েছো, পরিমাণটা হয়তো বা কম হয়েছে, তবে একটু ক্রিমি টেক্সচারটা না আমার মুখে একটু বেশি লেগেছে। আদারওয়াইজ টেস্টের দিক থেকে ফাইন।
আমার কাছে ভালোই লেগেছে। ভেতরে স্ট্রবেরি মানে একটা জেলির মতো করে দিয়েছো, আর উপরে ক্রিম, আর তার সাথে কি নাটস আর খেজুর মিক্স করা আছে, একটু ক্রিমি ভাব আছে। তো ক্রিম আমার ভালোই লাগে, খারাপ লাগে না খেতে। তো সব কিছু একসাথে মিলিয়ে যখন কম্বাইন করে খাচ্ছিলাম ভালো লাগছিল। ওকে, থ্যাংক ইউ। মিডনাইটে আমার এরকম সুইট খেতে ভালোই লাগে, খারাপ লাগে না।
ডেজার্টটা দেখতে অনেক সুন্দর, খেতেও মজা। মেবি ক্রিমের পার্টটা একটু বেশি হয়ে গেছে, বাট ভিতর থেকে যখন স্ট্রবেরি পার্টটা উঠে খাওয়া হয়, ইট ইজ জাস্ট পারফেক্ট। আমার কাছে অনেক ভালো লেগেছে, দিস ইজ সামথিং আই উড ক্রেভ মিডনাইটে, সো ইউ হ্যাভ নেইলড দ্য চ্যালেঞ্জ। সুন্দর।
আমি হাফ খেয়ে ফেলেছি। আমার জন্য এটা মিডনাইট ক্রেভিং এর একটা পারফেক্ট ডিশ। মাসে এরকম রেডি থাকলে মানে এরকম চারটা, এই চারজনকে চারটা দিয়েছে, আমি একে চারটা খেয়ে ফেলতাম। অনেক মজা হয়েছে, থ্যাংক ইউ।
ক্যালোরি 536 ক্যালোরি, ঠিক আছে, বাট এখানে উপরের নামটা
হ্যাঁ ওই যে
কারেক্ট করে দেওয়া উচিত ছিল।
তারপরে আর সময়
কস্টিং ঠিক আছে।
থ্যাংক ইউ।
নাইস, থ্যাংক ইউ রশিন।
খুব ভালো, ভেরি গুড।
আজকে কি মন মেজাজ ভালো আছে আপনার?
মন একটু খারাপ।
আপনার মনের ইম্প্যাক্টটা খাবারে এসে পড়েছে।
আপনার মন খারাপ দেখে আমার নিজেরই মন খারাপ লাগছে যে আমি কি আপনাকে কমপ্লিমেন্ট দিব।
দেখতেও ভালো লাগছে না, and খেতেও অ্যাপেটাইজিং না, and this is not something that I would crave in the midnight.
জয়পুরহাটের কুমু, দ্রুত চলে আসুন।
আসসালামু আলাইকুম দাদা। ওয়ালাইকুম আসসালাম।
আজকে আমি বানিয়েছি চিকেন অ্যান্ড মিক্সড ভেজিটেবল পাস্তা।
আজকে কি মন মেজাজ ভালো আছে আপনার?
মন একটু খারাপ।
আপনার মনের ইম্প্যাক্টটা খাবারে এসে পড়েছে। কিছু না কিছু ভুল আপনার হয়েই যাচ্ছে, থেকেই যাচ্ছে।
জি।
আপনি নিজেই স্বীকার করেছেন। সুন্দর ট্রাই ছিল, আপনি 4টা পোর্শন 4টা প্লেটিং করেছেন, সময় নিয়েছেন, এফোর্ট দিয়েছেন, কষ্ট করেছেন, কিন্তু আপনার কষ্টটা সফলতা পাচ্ছে না।
এটা দেখতেও ভালো লাগছে না, and খেতেও অ্যাপেটাইজিং না, and this is not something that I would crave in the midnight. ফাস্টিং ঠিক আছে কুমু, ক্যালোরি কাউন্ট ইনকমপ্লিট, থ্যাংক ইউ।
কুমু, পার্সোনাল লাইফ আর প্রফেশনাল লাইফ দুটো একদম আলাদা। হ্যাঁ, একটার সাথে একটা যদি মিলিয়ে ফেলো, জীবনের তাল আর রাখতে পারবে না। আজকে তোমার ডিশ খেয়ে আমারও সত্যি কথা বলতে আমার সেই কুমুর যে ব্ল্যাক স্কার্ফ পাওয়া কুমু তাকে মনে হচ্ছে না। তো আমার মনে হয় কুমু, যদি এই মঞ্চে টিকে থাকতে হয় তোমাকে এখান থেকে বেরিয়ে আসতেই হবে। সো বি কেয়ারফুল। আমি আবারও তোমাকে বলছি, নিজেকে যদি ঠিক না রাখতে পারো এই মঞ্চে কিন্তু টিকে থাকতে পারবে না। থ্যাংক ইউ।
কুমু, আপনার মন খারাপ দেখে আমার নিজেরই মন খারাপ লাগছে যে আমি কি আপনাকে কমপ্লিমেন্ট দিব। বা ছোট্ট করে বলে অলওয়েজ সবসময় চ্যালেঞ্জটাকে চ্যালেঞ্জের মতো করেই নেবেন এবং জাস্ট ব্লাস্টেড। কখনো মন খারাপ করবেন না, কখনোই মনে করবেন না যে আপনি পারছেন না, করতে পারছেন। অলওয়েজ পজিটিভ থাকবেন যে কোনো কিছুতে। আর খাবারের কথা যদি এক কথায় বলি, একটু হয়তো ইনগ্রেডিয়েন্টগুলোর মধ্যে একটু ক্লামজিনেস চলে আসছে, বাট ওভারঅল আপনার যদি আমরা ক্যালোরি কথা চিন্তা করি, হেলদি ফুডের কথা চিন্তা করি, ওই দিক থেকে ঠিক আছে, বাট টেস্টের বিষয়টা তো আমার কাছে মনে হচ্ছে একটু কম মনে হয়েছে। আদারওয়াইজ ইটস ওকে, এবং আপনি মন খারাপ করবেন না। অলওয়েজ টেক দ্য চ্যালেঞ্জ অ্যান্ড জাস্ট ব্লাস্ট ইট। থ্যাংক ইউ।
ডোন্ট ক্রাই, ওখানেই থাকো।
থ্যাংক ইউ।
থ্যাংক ইউ কুমু।
নিয়ে যাও।
আজকের যেটা হয়েছে যে আমার মানে বোঝার ভুলটা মানে আমি এই স্টেজে এসে আমি ভুল করে ফেলেছি এটা আমি নিজেই মেনে নিতে পারছি না যে আমি বোঝার ভুল করলাম। আমি এক পোর্শনই সার্ভ করতে পারতাম, কিন্তু আমি কেন 4 পোর্শনটা মনে করে সার্ভ করতে গেলাম আমার পুরো রেসিপি খারাপ করে। তো এটা আমাকে এটা অনেক সামনের দিকে আরও বিপদে ফেলতে পারে, কারণ সামনে আরও টাস্ক আছে যেটার এই নাম্বারটা ইম্প্যাক্ট ফেলবে। খুব খারাপ লাগছে এটা ভাবলেই।
রহস্যময় ব্রিফকেসটা একদম বাঘের মতো তাকায় আছে আমার দিকে। একদম
কি আছে ব্রিফকেসে?
জানি না আসলে, খুবই কনফিউজিং।
হোয়াট এ ড্রামাটিক এন্ট্রি শেফ, কিন্তু হাতে ব্রিফকেস কেন?
শেফ যেভাবে ব্রিফকেস নিয়ে আমাদের স্টুডিওতে এন্ট্রি করলো ওটা দেখে প্রথমে খুব ড্রামাটিক লাগছিল। সাধারণত আমরা সিনেমাতে দেখি যে কোনো কাউকে যদি কিডন্যাপ করা হয় তাহলে মাফিয়াদের কাছ থেকে অথবা গুন্ডাদের কাছ থেকে ছাড়িয়ে নেওয়ার জন্য এরকম ব্রিফকেস নিয়ে টাকা ভর্তি ব্রিফকেস নিয়ে আসে।
যখন সে ব্রিফকেস নিয়ে এভাবে আমার মুড নিয়ে আসছিল তখন আমার ব্রিফকেস দেখে মনে হচ্ছিল যে ব্রিফকেসের মধ্যে টাস্ককে ভরা একটা বন্দুক আছে অ্যান্ড ওইটা দিয়ে আমাকে টাই করে শ্যুট করে দিবে।
হ্যালো মৌ,
হ্যালো।
এই ব্রিফকেসটাই আজকের চ্যালেঞ্জের ব্রিফ।
ওয়াও, স্ট্রেট ইনটু ইন দ্য বিজনেস, মানে সরাসরি ব্রিফ নিয়ে আজকে আপনি এন্ট্রি নিয়েছেন।
অ্যাবসলিউটলি। আপনি দেখতে চান ব্রিফকেসের ভিতরে কি আছে?
ডেফিনেটলি। আমার তো এখনই আগ্রহ হচ্ছে যে আজকে কি চ্যালেঞ্জ লুকিয়ে রয়েছে ব্রিফকেসের মাঝে।
তার আগে আমি একটু পার্টিসিপেন্টসরা কি গেস করছে সেটা জানতে চাই। নিশাদ, কি আছে ব্রিফকেসে?
শেফ আপনি যেহেতু নিয়ে আসছেন, হতে পারে ভিতরে কিচেন কিটও থাকতে পারে।
শফায়েত, গেস মাস্টার।
আজকে মানে বুঝতে পারতেছি না আসলে কি হবে। ব্রিফকেসের ভিতরেই আমাদের খেলার এরিয়া আছে, খেলতে হবে ব্রিফকেসের ভিতরে জিনিস দিয়ে।
কুমু, আচ্ছা আজকে আপনি গেস করেন তো।
জানি না আসলে, খুবই কনফিউজিং। মানে যেটা আমরা গেস করি সেটা হয় না, অন্য কিছুই হয়। তো বুঝতে পারছি না কি আছে।
আমাদের আজকের ব্ল্যাক স্কার্ফ হোল্ডার তামান্না, আপনি গেস করেন।
মনে হচ্ছে যে রহস্যময় ব্রিফকেসটা একদম বাঘের মতো তাকায় আছে আমার দিকে। একদম খুবই দম বন্ধ হয়ে যাচ্ছে, জানি না কি বের হবে এটা থেকে। খুবই কনফিউজড।
আমি পার্টিসিপেন্টসদের সঙ্গে একেবারেই একমত। ব্রিফকেসে কি রয়েছে আমিও গেস করতে পারছি না। তবে দর্শক এবং পার্টিসিপেন্টস সবার উদ্দেশ্যে বলতে চাই আজকে মহামঞ্চের 12তম চ্যালেঞ্জ, এবং এই 12তম চ্যালেঞ্জ কারো জন্য বয়ে আনবে সুসময়, আর কারো ঘড়িতে
এই 12তম চ্যালেঞ্জে 12টাও বেজে যেতে পারে। আসলে মজা করছি। আপনাদের সবার সামনে আসছে সুসময়, আর সুসময় এই প্রত্যাশাই আমি করছি।
was the